there are things like this that genuinely make me believe that we are living in a simulation, and I want to explain why. This guy has an eerie resemblance to Tom Cruise, who was in The Last Samurai, that people reference as also being fake for like Assassin's Creed. This really gets me fucked up, man. Like, how does this... There's no way. Like, so then the movie star about like this fake Japanese history, and then there's another guy who looks the exact same who's also doing fake Japanese history. Like, what are the fucking odds? I swear to God, it's so weird, man. Wake up, you're in a simulation. The agents have found you.
All right, guys. I know we kind of already talked this to death last night on my kind of emergency last-minute live stream we did, but there is a very unique bond I think that the U.S. and Japan now has, especially after the events this weekend, given the fact that 2 years ago, Japan lost their former prime minister, longest prime minister they ever had, Shinzo Abe, to a lone lunatic who just decided to take him out. And we were really close to that this weekend as well.
Yeah.
You don't have to like Trump to...
Wrong screen? What do you mean wrong screen? I'm so wrong screen? What are people saying screen for?
Understand the...
Yeah, he's just looking at this right now. He's talking about this. Like, guys, you realize this is the Shinzo Abe guy he just mentioned, right? This guy used to be the prime minister of Japan. Nobody even knew this. So people thought I had Twitter open. I was thinking about something else. Yeah. This guy got shot like 2 years ago. A guy made like a homemade gun. He was assassinated. He was. I feel like people should kind of know that, right? I mean, people should kind of know that. I mean, at least a little bit, right? I don't know. I mean, that's just... I play WoW?
Massive implications that this has for our country,
it's learning
as a nation,
experience.
as a people, just absolutely shocked pretty much everybody. Whether you celebrated it or you were, horrified by it, there was a lot of visceral reactions to it. And so, of course, the Japanese people, I put this post out there talking about Shinzo Abe, and the Japanese have been very, very humble and very thankful and appreciative that Trump survived, and very, grateful for people mourning the loss of Shinzo Abe in such a manner. So I think it's a very good time for people to come together and bond over some, common threads that we have as humans. Whether or not we all feel the same about individual people is a whole nother story that we're not going to get into. But this connection between the West and Japan has a lot of different implications when it comes to culture and politics and entertainment and video games. And we've talked a lot about Assassin's Creed Shadows and the attempt by Westerners to try to essentially colonize the history of Japan.
What he's talking about? No, I actually think that he brings up a good point there. I don't think that was an unreasonable or like out-of-pocket thing to say. I think this is something that a lot of countries have had to deal with, and I think that America has had to deal with it a couple of times, right? But it's kind of like a shared experience, because it's like so abstract.
With this character Yasuke, who it's been basically exposed to this point that the entire story was made up. The fact is, the only thing we know is that the character, the person that was named Yasuke by Nobunaga, he was real. Whoever he was, where he came from, what his significance was, is between slim and none when it comes to his actual relevance to the people of Japan and their heritage. And so, of course, we have had a lot of coverage of this. I talked a lot about the fact that Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft decided that they were going to use a fake sword from...
Just again, how much do you guys want to bet that he locks his doors whenever he goes down places and he's driving around and there's a lot of minorities around? What do you want to bet? I'm thinking like minimum 95%, right? 100%? Yeah. Sorry, I was just deciding whether it's I should say that, but the answer almost every time is yes.
From One Piece to try to pass off as the actual weapon of Yusuke for an expo they're doing in Paris. And then, of course, you have here where an actual Japanese politician, Satoshi Hamada, came out saying, we need to bring this before the Japanese Diet. We need to figure out what is going on, why this is being, passed off as some sort of historically based character, why they're representing Japanese people in such a negative light.
Do people really want to know why? Is there really an investigation into this? Does this really, do we really need an investigation to know why this is happening? The fucking thing that everybody knows?
They're not respecting our culture and our history.
To be fair, maybe in Japan, they don't have the same issues that we do, so it's not as obvious to them, to be fair.
And, this has caused a lot of backlash all across the world, not just from Westerners, but from Japan itself. I mean, Japan is a country very proud of its history and its culture.
It's very hard for me to know how much of the outrage is actually from Japan, because I remember looking at one of these, fucking polls or petitions, and it showed the pictures of the last people that have signed it, and it's real Japanese people, and it's 3 white guys and a guy from South America. So I'm not sure how many people actually from Japan are against this. I think that logically it would make sense that they would not like it. If I had to guess, I'm assuming that this frustration is probably authentic. I just don't know to what degree.
Sure. And so these people are unrelenting when it comes to pushing back against this nonsense and this revisionist history that's being pushed on their society. Well, now the story gets even crazier, because we've talked about this before, and I'll play a little audio clip just to refresh your memory of this Wikipedia entry, this video about Wikipedia entries that were used to create Thomas Lockley's book, which is where the Yasuke character really began to take relevance. So we'll play a little bit of this audio here.
A lot of the stuff you see on Twitter, YouTube, and online articles actually comes from Wikipedia, but a lot of that information was wrong. It all goes back to October 22, 2012. Someone added a sentence to Wikipedia that said, when Nobunaga was convinced that this person really had dark skin, he valued him highly, named him Yasuke, and kept him close. This sentence wasn't true. It caused a lot of confusion. Then on June 14, 2015, someone changed the Wikipedia article again. It now said he was officially made a Bushi, a warrior, and kept close. This change made people think that Yasuke had become a samurai, and that's how the legend of Yasuke, the Black Samurai, was born. The next day, on June 15, another line was added to the Wikipedia article. It said, Nobunaga loved Yasuke so much that he intended to make him a lord in the future. In just one day, Yasuke had been promoted to a future lord, but this was completely false.
Wait, so the guy wanted to promote him to a lord after knowing him for one day? I don't know. I feel like that's probably not what happened.
So from 2012 to 2024.
I think that's enough of the video. Sorry for that alert that popped up, guys. I'm using Streamlabs to record my videos, so when a new subscriber comes in, that just happens sometimes. So go back and watch the whole video from this guy Nikaido. You'll have to watch it with subtitles. I don't believe his original video is translated, but the person that did the interpreting here very much has it pretty close to the translation as far as what the subtitles, the closed caption said. So again, Wikipedia entries that were deceptively edited to fit a narrative that were then used by Thomas Lockley in his book were essentially created to craft this narrative, this story around this person, Yasuke, who this entire genre of fan fiction has just come escalating out of. It's just been like, oh my god, Yasuke, the Black Samurai. And it's fine. If you want to have a character like a Yasuke and make an anime about him, go for it. As long as you accept the fact that this has nothing to do with the actual history of Japan or this person. So now we're seeing Thomas Lockley on the run. The guy that wrote the book that a lot of this has come from. He has deleted his Facebook page.
I think that this is a really big deal because it goes this is what I've said a lot of times of what happens is that you have these people and they believe so much in their own ideology or in their own viewpoints that they're willing to lie and cheat people and do all kinds of crazy shit in order to achieve that goal. And I think this is just another example where somebody doesn't actually care about what the topic is. They don't actually care about what they're doing. All they're doing is trying to create trouble and start drama and push their agenda. That's what matters. See how easy it is to rewrite history? Very dangerous path. Yeah. I don't know about you guys. I just want whatever is true to be known. Like whether the guy was a samurai, a lord, a fucking cupbearer, a slave, a like a retainer. I don't really care. Like I don't have like any like who would be invested in this? Who cares? I wasn't there. It's not my problem. You just want to know what happened.
And Grum says the Japanese have been hammering the fact checks on Thomas Lockley, the historian widely cited by other papers, book, and official sources for the proof that Yusuke was a samurai. They say he is a fraud and have been finding out he's been editing Wikipedia under an alias Totori Tom to promote his books and papers. And this is something that...
So he's editing a book that he made based off of edits, and then he's re-editing it now to cite him. So he's basically creating a human centipede, but he's the entire centipede. Oh my God. It's so ridiculous.
Various people have verified.
Insane.
So here you see it's this guy.
Who does this?
Katsunori Yanagi says it was discovered that Thomas Lockley, associate professor of law at Nihon University, fabricated a story on Wikipedia that Yusuke was a samurai. Of course, there's a video here. Unfortunately, there's not a link to it, but we can probably find that later on. And then you can see this one here, content not available. Tom Totori related. This is on the Assassin's Creed Shadowed Notes. I believe it's got to be from Wikipedia. So it says July.
Dude, read this. So this is the fake person that the guy created to promote himself. Oh my God. This is so shameless. It's amazing.
July 6th, 2012.
Oh my God.
Editing of Yusuke by the account Totori
Look
Tom
at
begins.
this.
Yusuke was not edited until September 11th, 2015. September 12th, 2015, the reference was changed to a paper by Thomas Lockley published in 2016. This was revised many times on this day. Main revisions, revision 1 comparison, 2 comparison, 3 comparison. February 2016, Thomas Lockley has published a paper on Yusuke, who served Oda Nobunaga.
Oh my God. You know what's really fucking sad about this? Is the fact that he's so stupid that he didn't even try to edit other pages or change anything else other than the thing that he's focused on to make it seem like it wasn't about him. Like, you didn't even think about doing that. You didn't even try to hide this. That's, if only I could cite myself on research papers. That's my favorite thing that the media does sometimes, is like the media will report on something and like some guy will say, yeah, according to reports from like, yeah, this is unconfirmed. We don't really know that this happened, but one person says this. Then somebody else will report on that story and say, according to this newspaper, this happened, but it's unsubstantiated. And then also, then you have the third one that's like, according to this other newspaper and what we've been hearing from many other newspapers, it seems like this happened. It's just crazy. Like, how does this... It's like a game of telephone, but nobody's even trying to say the same thing. According to multiple sources, yes.
Yusuke Nobunaga's African retainer in the 91st volume of the Sakura Bunranso, hopefully I pronounced that somewhat correctly.
No.
January 25th, 2017. Nobunaga and Yusuke, the Black Samurai who survived the Hanaji Temple, is now on sale. February 3rd, 2017, the reference was changed by Totori Tom from the article published in the Sakura Bunranso, I'm messing that up so bad, to Nobunaga and Yusuke, the Black Samurai who survived the Hanaji Temple. October 31st, 2018, Totori Tom added a link to Thomas Lockley's page. November 8th, 2018, Thomas Lockley's page was deleted from Wikipedia as it was deemed unremarkable. Totori Tom also participated in the discussion.
Bro, that must hurt. Damn, bro, like you get your shit deleted because it's unremarkable. That's like, oh, that's one of the worst words you say to somebody. It's unremarkable.
Discussion at the time. January 25th, 2019, Totori Tom introduces the release of the book African Samurai, The True Story of Yusuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan, which is essential to telling the Yusuke legend to this day. So Basically,
now I'm not a big, I'm not a big Japanese historian, okay? So the Hanawaji Temple, was that where they killed Oda Nobunaga and he got betrayed and then he killed, is that when it happened, right? And if Yasuke was there and he wasn't killed, because if I remember right, Oda Nobunaga killed himself before they got to him, which implied that they were going to kill everybody. So if they didn't kill Yasuke, wouldn't that imply that his role was pretty minimal? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just thinking. Logic would say that, yes, and that's just what makes sense. They didn't give him an honorable death. Well, they didn't kill him either way, right? He didn't kill him himself. Yeah, and he didn't kill himself for failing to guard his lord. Yeah, exactly. Like, you could argue that Nobunaga wanted him to leave too. Oh, so you think maybe he actually got away? Could have roached out? Yeah, maybe. Not necessarily. He could have escaped. He could have given up or defected. I feel like if he had given up or defected, they probably would have killed him. Like, I don't know that, but like, that's what I would assume. Maybe not. Who knows? Defected to where? I think the guy's name started with a T, or I'm thinking Toyota. It's not Toyota, but it's something that sounds kind of like that. So yeah, I don't remember exactly. But it doesn't. Toyota tell me? Yeah. Well, hey, I was close. Hey. So I was like, I got half of the letters.
To this day. So basically what you have here is you have Thomas Lockley, who was using his influence, his ability to edit things on Wikipedia to try to promote the sale of his book, which he had created a false narrative with off of, again, heavily edited Wikipedia entries. And this has been sold as essentially the unknown history, or basically filling in the blanks of this Yasuke character for a decade now, it seems like, almost. Grum says, historian Thomas Lockley, that was cited by so many official sources on Yasuke, makes a wild claim that blames the Japanese...
But like, just real quick, I want to finish up what I was just saying. Like, actually, I'm just thinking about this. Like, do y'all see what I'm saying, though, right? About how, like, the fact that he got out of that situation is, like, kind of a pretty... It definitely diminishes the credibility that he played a large role in, like, Nobunaga's force or had a notable position. Like, that, it definitely, like, it's based on assumptions. Of course it is, right? But, like, I'm saying, based off of those assumptions, that's what my conclusion is. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know that happened.
For slavery in his book, and the Japanese are furious.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. So you get into this here. The translation here from this account here on Twitter says, in Thomas Lockley's book, the Jesuits did not enslave black people. After Nobunaga appointed the black man Yasuke, enslaving black people became popular in Japan. Read that back a second, guys. After Nobunaga appointed the black man Yasuke, enslaving black people became popular in Japan. But this is bad. Seriously, it's really bad. Aren't they just blaming black people for the culture in which white people enslave black people? No, this is serious.
I've got to listen to that again. This is bad. It's really bad. Aren't they just blaming Japan? No, I don't think so. I think that this doesn't even make sense. It's not like the Americans came, or like Europeans came down to Africa with like lassos and caught people for slaves. They were being sold. So it would naturally make sense that if you were selling slaves, you would sell them to Japan as well. Yeah, they were being sold. Yeah, they did though. I mean, I'm sure, right? But a lot of it was like most of these people were being sold. Like my understanding is a lot of the slave trade was done by people that were in Africa that had, like somehow subjugated other people and they were selling them. That's my understanding. So like, I don't even think that this doesn't have anything to do with white people. It makes sense. Like if they're selling slaves, if you're looking to buy slaves, it would be normal that you'd probably go to the same place. I don't know. Am I crazy?
Crazy. What's worse is that things are written in the English version that aren't written in the Japanese version. Mm-hmm. This is pretty bad, isn't it? In the comment section of the video about the Assassin's Creed Shadows controversy, there were several people overseas who said that the Japanese people have been the most racist towards black people in history, and I suspect that this book is the cause of it. So the Japanese are starting to wake up to the way that they are perceived by a lot of the Western world, at least in the stereotypical sense where, again, unfortunately, we've seen examples where like Disney tried to edit out people that were darker skinned in movie posters when they released a movie in China. I don't know about this being a thing in Japan.
To be fair, I mean, like, I think that it's very well known that in many Asian countries, people are prejudiced and racist. Absolutely. I mean, it's pretty much a, what's the word for it? It's like a monoculture. Like, yeah, it's a homogenous culture. Like, that's just, that's just how it is. Xenophobic? Yeah, maybe, right?
Reckon it could be, but the reality is I do not believe that this is a necessarily entirely societally based...
Well, you have to keep in mind, the reason why they do edits, I think, in China, a lot of it, I think, has to do with, like, pressure from the government, too. It's not like all of this just comes from the people. Now, obviously, the people represent the government to an extent, but China having that type of censorship is I think, an outcome of the CCP primarily. I don't know this. I'm not sure, right? But that's my understanding.
Prejudice that Japanese people alone share.
Yeah.
So the idea that you're trying to pass off black people as adopting slavery after Yasuke got there, what? I mean, this is incredibly heinous shit. Like, if there's any validity to this, I'm shocked at how this guy actually was able to influence so much of the culture and the narrative around the Sasuke character up to this point and get...
Because people wanted to believe that it was real. And questioning it would get you labeled as a racist, so people didn't want to question it. It actually makes perfect sense why it would happen.
Away with it, just so he could sell more copies of his book. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it right there. A lot to unpack in this one. Let me know what you think about all this. I'll be live streaming tonight. Hope to see you guys there, and I will talk to you later.
Jesus Christ, I had no idea about this.
All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have two channels, Minimal Effort Podcast.
I think this is so fucking funny.
I do have a Twitch and Kick gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.
This is crazy. So the guy writes a book, makes a second Wikipedia account, and then bases the book off of statements that he made anonymously, I think, and then uses a second account to exclusively, for 7 years, promote himself in conversations about this and reference his book as the definitive reason, or the definitive proof of this thing being true. All at the same time being a white guy that doesn't even come from Japan. Incredible. Absolutely fucking incredible. Wow. Academics do this all the time. I'm sure it probably does happen, and it's also stupid when they do it too. You know, I bet it's always, it's dedication. Hustler's gotta hustle. It's just, and then getting, dude, imagine what it would have been like for him when he found out that his Wikipedia, he wasn't notable enough for a Wikipedia page, bro. Like, this dude must have lost his fucking mind. Oh my God. And then also he deleted all of his social media profiles. Like, I think that a lot of times whenever somebody deletes all of their social media profiles, there is a very good reason for that. Yeah. I bet he told him so, that he was fixing racism in Japan, so it was good. Yeah, usually people do bad things for reasons why they think that they're the good person, right? I mean, absolutely. That's always how it is. Academics at least don't hide it, though. Their name's clearly written in the papers. Yeah, exactly. The second account's pertaining to be Japanese. Holy fuck, man. I agree with the criticism of the person of the author. I believe the game itself does not make any historical claim that it was a black man in Japan. I understand that people are, well... And here's really the issue, right? Is that as I said before, like we've talked about this like 10 times, right? I don't want to go back and like recover the same shit I've said 100 times, but basically, people are not mad at the fact that like this happened. They're mad about why it happened and the reasoning behind it. Yeah, I'll link you guys a video. This is a good video. Give it a like. I didn't really know like exactly how all this fit together. Asians aren't so much racist as they are a society that marks how dark a person is by their class, so to speak, so that makes class prejudice. I don't know. I don't live there. Like, it's not my problem. It's not my issue. The only point that I'm making is that, like, I think a lot of times, like, if you're Japanese and you see a Western studio making a game about one black guy that has a very questionable history in your history, and he's going around killing all of the people that look like you, I could see where Japanese people could get offended. I could. And I'm not saying that like Ubisoft shouldn't be allowed to make the game. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm just saying that like if I look at it from their perspective, I can see where they're coming from. Okay? I think that's pretty reasonable. And you don't even have to agree with them, but you can see why they think that. Yes. This is so incredibly stupid. Who cares? They do. That's why they're pushing it. What do you mean, who cares? You know who cares. They're the ones that are making the game. They invested $100 million into it. What do you mean, who cares? Yeah, it's common sense. Who cares? It's the best-selling game for pre-orders in Japan. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people, and that's the other thing, right? Is like a lot of the people that are talking about, like, oh, this is what Japan like likes or doesn't like. You know, why are so many people buying it over there? Yeah, I don't know, but that's generally the way I see it. What is this here? 3 rules: no wishing for death, no falling in love, no bringing back dead people. I want Reese's peanut butter cups to moan when I take their little. Okay.